Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know it's a sunny, nice Friday afternoon, and people, you want to be able to enjoy it because it might be the last one for a while. My name is Aquila. I am the Assistant Administrator with the Division of Community Economic Development. I am over our grants section. And this Friday Forum is about our 2015 to 2019 Consolidated Plan. I'm going to have the staff that's here do a brief introduction for all of you so that you can know names and faces. And we will start over here with Jenny.
I'm Jenny Foltz, the Administrator at the Division of Community Economic Development for the Department of Health. I'm Samantha Sprinkle, the Home Grant Manager for DFD.
Evan Tester, CBG Grants Manager.
And in the back. And our fearless director, Adam, just walked in as well. So this meeting, as I said, is to discuss the 2015 to 2019 Consolidated Plan. The slides look lengthy, but I'm not going to read them word for word for all of you. The Consolidated Plan is a 5-year plan that we submit to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development that outlines for HUD how we intend on spending our CDBG, home, ESG, and HOPWA funds. Like I said, it is a 5-year plan, so the plan that we're currently in ends on December 31st. The new plan will start January 1st, 2015, or whenever HUD approves it, and that will be our plan of how we are going to spend those 4 funding streams for the next 5 years. And it is a very community-driven process, which is why we hired Alicia Vaughn with City Consultants and Research to help lead this effort. But the Consolidated Plan, as I said, it's very research-driven, very data-driven. It's based on housing needs, and there's a lot of analysis done in it from a county-wide perspective. And then all that goes into this document and says to HUD, with these entitlement funds that you are providing to us, here's how we justify how we're going to spend these funds. And this serves as our application. The Consolidated Plan is funded through an entitlement program, which means we don't necessarily compete for it like a lot of other grants out there. HUD says as long as you submit this plan, you're following the rules and regulations outlined for each of the grant programs, then this is what your annual allocation will be. I just said all that, so I'm not going to say it again. The biggest grant and the one that most people are probably familiar with is our Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG. It's approximately $8 million a year. That number, if any of you have been in this game for a while, know that that number decreases every year. If we get a 10% cut like we typically anticipate, that'll obviously be below the $8 million. We are budgeting our 2015 numbers based on $7.7 million, just to be safe. That way, if we get that amount or more, we don't have to go back and do any type of budget amendments or decrease anyone's funding level. But CDBG can be used for to provide decent housing, secure, suitable living environment, expand economic development for persons earning 80% or below. All of our funding streams require that they go to individuals or families at 80% and below. Of this $8 million, 15% of that can be used for public service type activities. That is part of the regulations, and it is capped. We cannot go over 15%. So that's like our community centers, homeless services, those types of things. The next one is our home grant, which is approximately $3 million. Again, with the 10% cut, it's going to drop it below that. And that is purely for the creation and development of affordable housing. And that's typically done through our single-family home ownership, multifamily rental. We do have some down payment assistance through INHP as well that we fund through this. Our Emergency Solutions Grant is little around $700,000 a year. This is primarily funding for homeless services and service providers. The last several years, HUD has made an increasing emphasis on the prevention side of this as opposed to the service side and the operating support side, and that we have been doing through true prevention or rapid rehousing of clients. There is a mandate on this funding that 40% of our annual allocation for ESG must go to prevention activities. To ensure that we meet that, we have implemented that 50% must go, because if for some reason something happens and we don't meet that 40% requirement, then we lose the entire allocation of funding, and we don't want to risk these very valuable dollars, so we bump that up to give us some cushion. I skipped one. Sorry, I didn't realize HOPWA was on the end of that page. The last one is our housing opportunities for persons with AIDS, and that's to provide services and rental assistance to individuals and families who have a family member that is HIV/AIDS positive. I stated this already, but again, CDBG Home, ESG, and HOPWA are the grant programs that are covered under the Consolidated Plan. We do receive other funding in our department, but those are typically through a competitive process that we actually have to compete for. They very much intermingle with what we do, and we take, their biggest one being the continuum of care, which is our homeless funding. We do take that into consideration when we write the Consolidated Plan so that there is cohesiveness. It's just not part of this funding stream. All right, the new goals. So the goals that we will be measuring against starting in January are going to be outlined on the next several slides. I'm sure most of you know that we have a plan, an initiative in the city called Plan 2020. And I'm in a room full of experts on that, so if I say something wrong, any of you just please correct me. But it's a plan to make all of our plans, our regional center plan, our comprehensive plan, the consolidated plan, kind of all together and all speak and all work together and make sense instead of being all these fragmented plans out there where planning focuses on these plans and we focus on the con plan, to make them all talk and work together. So we're writing this con plan to kind of keep with that model and that flow that's been outlined in regards to live Indy, work Indy, all of that. So the first one, our first priority is livable communities. Livable communities will be vibrant neighborhoods with buildings of quality design, accessible infrastructure, and affordable housing for all income groups. And I'll touch on some of them, but I won't read them all because I think we have 9 or 10 goals under this particular priority. Goal 1 is in regards to our facade program. We have funded the facade program for years through the Local Initiative Support Corporation. That is not going to change, and that Goal 1 is geared towards that. Goal 2 is to support neighborhood revitalization efforts of a CBDO or a CDFI. Evan, I'm going to hand the mic to you again, like I always do for this one.
CBDO is a designation the city can grant to a nonprofit. Basically, that will give flexibility with federal regulations, allows us to give you the grant and use it easier. CDFI, we don't designate their CDFIs, they have to get that from somewhere else, but we will work with the development financial institutions to grant the funds and then send it out to local groups. Basically, it helps give more flexibility to federal funds.
Thank you, Evan. Goal 3 gets to the homeowner repair program that we historically have funded with CDBG, 400 units over 5 years. There will be no problem with that goal. Goal 4 is a little bit different from what we have typically funded, and it's to support public infrastructure projects that produce vibrant environments, creating neighborhood identification. Now, I'm going to clarify that a little bit. When it says public infrastructure, we will not be doing streets and sidewalks. Because we have a department in the city that is responsible for streets and sidewalks, we can't use our CDBG for streets and sidewalks. So it will be for like bike lanes, or if there needs to be a walkway across the street that's kind of not in good shape or just needs more clearly outlined. it's those types of infrastructure that we're talking about, not your streets and sidewalks. We just don't have enough money. That would take all plus that we have. And also in what's called our Neighborhood Revitalization Strategy area, or the NRSA. And this is a designation from HUD that's based on census tracts with the lowest income. And when you do something in the NRSA, it makes it easier to use your CDBG. Because it's based on income, it's an assumed benefit that all the households, or a majority of the households in that NRSA are 80% and below and qualify. And with infrastructure, that's just how we have to do it to make it easier. Goal 5 is what we've done with Home for several years. That's money that will be used to help tax credit projects. Use our home funds to go along with any multifamily development through the tax credit process. Goal 6 is to create home ownership opportunities with this exceptional design for households at or below 80%. Goal 7 is a tenant-based rental assistance program with home funds. We've had tenant-based rental assistance through the HOPWA program for years, but we are going to create a plan around doing a tenant-based rental assistance program for persons with disabilities through the home program. That plan has not been created yet, but once it is, it will be released to everyone, and then we will have some home funds. I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback, so I'm sorry. Then we will release the home funds for that particular pot of money. And then Goal 8 gets to the down payment assistance through INHP that I was referring to. Goal 9 is for our brownfields properties. Again, we've done that for several years. Goal 10 is to provide technical assistance for activities that will meet a national objective and that actually leads to a project being completed. And Goal 10 is demolition of cleanup of unsafe structures. The one clarification of this as well is this is going to be demolition and cleanup of properties DMD owns. The Department of Code Enforcement actually handles the unsafe building program now. So if it's on any other property other than DMD owned, it will go through code enforcement. So this is just simply DMD owned properties. Okay, the second priority is youth education and employment. The city will support programs that provide youth of all ages from pre-K to adult with affordable education and opportunities for summer employment. So Goal 1 is summer youth academic activities, and Goal 2 is summer employment. Goal 2 gets to the Summer Youth Program Fund that we are a partner in with the Central Indiana Community Foundation and Lilly and others. And then we have typically funded youth programs through the community centers for years. So that's those two goals. Economic development. There's obviously been an increased effort in economic development in our city, and specifically with our department. So we made it one of our top priorities. And Goal 1 is to support job training and placement programs for low to moderate income individuals. This is the program that since 2010 has run through Employ Indy. It will continue to run through Employ Indy. We will award the money to them directly. They will release an application on their schedule, and they will make the funding decisions of who gets that money. So if that is the pot of money you are interested in, you will need to contact Employ Indy and ask them about their timeline and their process, because we just simply award the money to them directly. And Goal 2 is to support business expansion and new business by job creation activities. Aid at least 4 businesses to create 75 new full-time equivalent jobs over 5 years. Again, just to speak to the increased emphasis of bringing jobs and families to the Indianapolis community. Okay, this next priority starts getting into the emergency solutions money. I mean, some of it can be CDBG, but we're primarily focusing our ESG on this. and that's to serve individuals and families with prevention and stabilization services. Of those, 10% will meet the definition of chronic, which is a HUD classification for anyone who works in the homeless community knows that. And these goals that you are going to see on this slide and the next couple of slides come straight from the new Blueprint to End Homelessness, which is another document in the city, which is the city's plan to end homelessness. Again, speaking to cohesiveness and making sure we're all on the same page, we took the goals straight from that plan and put it in ours. Same with this one. Goal 1 is to serve people through that rapid rehousing and stabilization or prevention that I talked about earlier. And then goal 2, we will reduce the average shelter stay by at least 10% from the preceding year. Not only is that in the blueprint, but that's also a HUD requirement of our continuum of care program that I mentioned earlier. So we're tackling two issues with this one goal. And then also, to receive the emergency shelter grant and our continuum of care funds, you have to be part of a homeless management information system that runs through the Coalition for Homelessness Intervention and Prevention. We are required to fund that with ESG. So goal 3 gets to us funding that program. The next one is to provide street outreach to homeless. Again, another emphasis in the Emergency Solutions Grant is to provide direct street outreach. And so this goal, we'll get to that, and again, it came from the blueprint as well. These next series are specifically for the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS grant, and they're really pretty much almost the same as what we've had in the previous years. It's short-term assistance, long-term assistance, and services. And then, again, we've always had an analysis of impediments to fair housing plan, and we will continue to, and actually Alicia is writing that for us as well, and the draft of that will be out next Friday. But because it's also another increasing emphasis that HUD is going to be monitoring over the next several years, we've created a goal in our consolidated plan to really focus on fair housing issues. So that's what that priority gets to. So the draft documents, what you have in front of you is just kind of a summary of the consolidated plan. And then in the back is the projects we're actually going to fund in 2015 with our anticipated allocation from HUD. But if you want to view the full document of the consolidated plan, the 2015 action plan, and our analysis of impediments to fair housing, they will be released next Friday on the websites indicated up there. They'll just be up there. So Friday morning, if you want to check if something's wrong and it's not working, you can contact me, and I will work with the appropriate staff to make sure that they get up there. And then they will be open, all those documents will be open for a 30-day comment period. So that comment period will end November 24th. And you can send your comments to the lovely Miss Alicia Vaughn at the email address listed below. All comments we receive, we will respond to in writing. They also will become part of the final documents that go to HUD. Any public comment we receive, we have to include in the documents to HUD with our response. So if you submit one, you will get a written response, and it will be published in the documents. Does anyone have any questions? Because this is the end of my formal presentation, but I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone has. Anyone? Bueller?
Question for you.
Yes.
Under livable communities, you had goal number 9 was to support the remediation of blighted properties, 2 projects over 5 years. Are those commercial?
It could be.
Because it said 2 projects over 5 years, so I would assume that they have to be massive projects.
They would be, and most likely they're going to be a brownfield as well.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be. What? And it could be historic too, which would be another reason to not do that many. Any other questions? Comments? Concerns? We'll be here for a few minutes afterwards if there's something you want to talk to us about, but maybe not in front of the group. And then again, you're always welcome to, when we get back there, submit your comments on anything I said today or on the draft of the documents up till November 24th. If not, thank you. Enjoy the beautiful sun and have a great weekend.